Thank you everybody for joining in today. Exciting day for us. It's our first webinar for Learners Engaged, which we're super excited about. We're going to talk about high impact digital tools for libraries. It's going to be kind of a preview to what we're doing at Learners Engaged. We're going to talk a little bit about library micro training, as well as patron engagement. And so I hope today, just what we share with you, that there's some good takeaways that you can take and apply to your library. So just as a quick overview, of Learners Engaged, ultimately, we really believe that libraries are the center of community. And it's really the unique place, we call it the third place, of places where people, community come together, they engage, they innovate and grow and really make the communities something special. So my name is Mark Ritchie. I am the founder and our partnership lead at Learners Engaged. I'm based in Vancouver, Canada, in the Great White North. A little bit about me: I've spent 20 years supporting libraries in different capacities. Many of you may have, or you may have heard of Pressreader for Libraries. So I was actually one of the founders, well, not founders, but employee 9. I came in when Pressreader was a concept, and we took that forward. So I was there from 2006 to 2021. Then I went to support libraries in Asia and Africa for a few years, and then before joining Baker and Taylor. And unfortunately, when Baker and Taylor had gone sideways, it was at a pivot point for me personally, where back in 2017, I actually registered Learners Engaged as a business, and having working with channel partners and different publishers, I always had kind of a dream to start my own agency to provide libraries with support and e-resources and really make sure that they become unique places in the community. And so, as the universe works, everything kind of came together. Today we have Jeremy with us, and hopefully Robert is here as well. If not, but Jeremy, if you want to just give a quick introduction about yourself, that'd be great.
Thanks, Mark. Well, hi, everyone, and thank you so much for being with us today. I really appreciate all of you attending. I'm Jeremy Link, and I've spent most of my career working alongside academic and public libraries, helping them to evaluate, select, and successfully launch digital resources. Over the years, I've seen firsthand how much work goes into managing e-resources, and how often strong products don't reach their full potential simply because staff time's limited. So what excites me most about Learners Engaged is that we're a brand new library company, and we're built on a very simple idea: to help libraries deliver high impact digital resources that actually get used and make a difference without adding more burden to already stretched teams. We focus on resources that support families, support workforce development, and of course, lifelong learning. And just as importantly, we focus on practical strategies for awareness and adoption so that these tools don't sit on a web page unnoticed. So again, thank you for being here, and I look forward to connecting with you after the presentation. Back to you.
Awesome. I see Robert has joined in as well. Robert, if you just want to give a quick introduction to yourself as well.
Okay. It seems my video is not working well. So, but nice to meet everybody virtually. My name is Robert Karmelich. Mark and I have worked indirectly, directly for probably over 25 years. I've been in the industry for 25 plus years. The last couple of years, I was the senior managing director of global sales and customer care for the American Society of Mechanical Engineers. And I've spent a lot of time with Sweats, WT Cox, LM Information, doing subscription management, database management. And so excited to continue to work in the library space, both public and academic, and look forward to connecting with you all and being part of the Learners Engaged team.
Awesome. Thank you, Robert. So just to continue here, our mission is really to help libraries engage, innovate, and grow through meaningful content. And I think what's really going to make, the team and Learners Engaged unique in the space of supporting libraries is that, we have both publisher experience as well as distributor side experience. So we can kind of bridge that gap to, be able to better support the libraries, and then also to be able to support the publishers and make sure that expectations are met across both sides. What we're going to focus on is mainly exclusive e-resources and emerging e-resources. And when we talk about like exclusive e-resources, what we mean is that, we want to bring unique products to the market, and we don't want to be in a space where it's, where a publisher has 10 distributors in the same market, where it's just, being bombarded on every side. So, and when we talk about emerging resources, there are B2C products that we see would have incredible impact on the communities and individuals in libraries. And so we're going to try to work with some different B2C companies over time to bring those into the library space, into that ecosystem, to help further reach and engagement. And then, also we might see some services that, again, could be impactful, that maybe they're highly used in an academic space or are highly used in international markets. And we would see that they would have a strong life and support in North America. So really meaningful e-resources carefully selected for community and patron outcomes. And then, for the smallest of libraries, having worked on the publisher side and distributor side, we've seen that, some of the small libraries, they struggle. They have challenges in what they can afford, what they can attain. And so we've really worked hard with our publishers to bring forward equitable pricing. And I think this is also something that's really important for Learners Engaged. If you look at even the smallest libraries, like 10,000 population less, there's roughly, 9,000 of those libraries in the country that need to be supported. So we're going to start off. We're going to just talk a little bit about, a practical approach to awareness and adoption of e-resources. Just a little bit of a thought leadership and some ideas to, maybe challenge you and to maybe reconsider how you measure your e-resources. So, libraries don't have an e-resource problem. Most libraries have a good amount of e-resources, but what they do have is an awareness and a relevance problem. And so ultimately, like when e-resources aren't used, it's rarely a content issue. It's usually like it's hidden behind the scenes. Patron can't find it. They don't understand the outcome that they're going to gain from using it, or the community doesn't understand the outcomes. And so that e-resource remains invisible. And what I want to do today is kind of challenge you to think a little bit differently on e-resources. So you might have high usage e-resources. We typically measure the use of a platform by number of sessions, number of engagements, number of users. And just because an e-resource has a high usage doesn't necessarily mean that it has a strong community or individual patron impact. And the reverse is the same. If a resource has, lower usage, it doesn't mean that it has no impact on the community or that patron. And so what we want to encourage is to try to learn and understand those stories that you're hearing from your e-resources and how those have impacted that patron, how that impacts the community. And also maybe you can also maybe measure some ROIs on that. So the idea here is really stop promoting platforms. A patron typically most likely does not care about a platform, but what they do care about is an outcome. When a patron wakes up in the morning, they're, maybe it's like, today I want to learn how to meditate, or today I need to become a better parent for my kid, right? So there's these outcomes that individuals wake up, they want to learn either a skill or they have an outcome that they want to achieve. And so kind of try to flip the messaging, use patron language and targeting needs, lead with the outcome and not with the platform. Tie these e-resources to real life goals. So I want to get a job. I want to be a better parent. I want to learn how to fix my vehicle. I shouldn't even say this, but I've never looked under the hood of my vehicle. And so maybe I should get a resource from the library to help me look under the hood. Identify stories and metrics to highlight those outcomes for patrons. And so again, like once you start understanding and hearing how these e-resources are impacting your patrons, your community, this gives you a really unique metric and unique information to take to your board, to take to your city council, especially when you're looking at renewals and looking at how your library is funded. So we're going to change the positioning a little bit, moving away from we have databases to here's your results, here's your outcome. So, you know, instead of saying we have LinkedIn Learning, we can say, well, build job ready skills that improve your employability. Here's LinkedIn Learning. Feel more confident as a parent with trusted expert support. Here's Parent TV from our library. Save money, reduce stress by learning how to maintain and fix your vehicle with confidence. We provide Chilton Library to you. You know, so these are just some examples of how, you know, you think about the outcome, and we'll talk about this on how the library staff can learn these outcomes, and then they can promote your e-resources. So just a couple examples for you. So the thought here is stop chasing clicks. And, you know, when we have clarity, it's going to drive confidence, relevance, and engagement. So when your staff are confident in the outcomes, they understand the outcomes, they understand the e-resource, they're going to be more comfortable recommending that e-resource. And when patrons understand the value, saying, I'm going to gain A, B, C, then they're going to understand that value, and then they can use that resource. So when that value is clear, usage will take care of itself. Relevance will drive behavior. Embed the e-resources into real life moments. And Seattle Public Library has done absolutely an amazing job at this. And so if you go onto their website, they have this experience that says your next skill. You go on there, you say, I want to learn computer skills. I want to learn how to travel on a budget, smartphone photography. They have all these different examples. And if you click on any of those, it will take you to a resource page with resources and e-resources that are going to help the patron, you know, find achieve that outcome that they desire. On the flip side, what they've done, and I love this, is that you can submit a form to the library, and the library will receive it, and then they can go through and they can personally select some e-resources to help you achieve that outcome. I just thought this is just an incredible way to, you know, embed and have the library also engage with that individual. Libraries are like gyms. You know, in lots of past presentations, we always say, you know, libraries are like retail, and in many cases they are, but they're also like gyms. You know, the problem, you know, with a gym membership, and I'm probably the worst example, but if I have a gym membership, I'm not guaranteed an outcome that I'm going to get skinny, right? And the gym can only deliver the value when the user knows how to use the equipment properly. And so the same goes for the library. We have the equipment, we have all these powerful e-resources and tools. The next question is, do you have an orientation for your patrons? Like a gym, you know, when you sign up, you get an orientation. I would certainly recommend, if you don't have an orientation, to consider, you know, maybe even either a video orientation, or maybe like once a month or once every 2 weeks, is to have like a public orientation where patrons can come in as a small group and they can get familiarized with the library and all the e-resources and find out about those outcomes that they can receive. Then you have the short training session. So think of like, you know, even like your niche academy is great for that. So that's short, focused instruction on how to use an e-resource. So once you have an orientation, you have a training in place, that instills a confidence in the patron. So confidently, you can say that that patron should be able to succeed with your library. And that's going to help to continue to grow the usage and awareness of your system. Confident staff bridge outcomes. Micro-confidence matters more than training. So a library staff member will never promote what they don't understand or what they don't trust. If they don't know the outcome and they haven't seen the outcome firsthand, the chances are they're not going to feel comfortable promoting that e-resource or that tool. So, you know, you can work on short focus guidance, little micro informations. So this is going to work much better than long trainings. And also patron success stories. If you have staff, encourage them to ask and hear about these patron success stories, so that they're going to be confident in sharing those e-resources. And I'd certainly recommend ask your vendors for help if you need some additional training, some support, some little video clips, just to make learning easy. And if they don't want to help, let us know. We'll be happy to help. Make digital visible. So digital needs a physical anchor in your library. So this comes in three forms. You have tangible experiences, you have a clear entry point, and then you have guided moments. So we'll talk about each here for a moment. Tangible experience. So you have your digital. So this picture in the middle is a press reader installation, special project that we did with the National Library Board of Singapore several years back. And they brought in the digital, the touchscreen, but then they merged it with the physical periodicals. And that created a really unique experience. The clear entry point side is, on the right-hand side, you see QR codes. So scan for ebooks, digital journals, online research help. So really easy, quick, easy to access. These guided moments are really important. This is where your staff are then acting more like retail, maybe approaching a patron and say, hey, I'm Mark, I'm a librarian here. I just wanted to see, do you need a hand? Is there a specific goal or outcome that you're looking to achieve today? If so, I'd be happy to support you. And this is where you can have that personalized experience where you then promote that e-resource. So again, important to have those physical anchors. Don't measure usage alone. So as I mentioned earlier, high usage does not always equal impact. Look for those stories, ask those questions. Who is using the e-resources? Who's using specific e-resources? Did it solve a problem for them? Did it impact their life? Does it have a measurable impact on the community? Thinking about, ROIs, if you have an e-resource that supports small businesses or entrepreneurs and the content you provided was impactful for them, certainly you could say, well, that's going to drive economic value to my community. If usage drops and the outcomes improve, that's not failure. Ultimately, that's focus. So your community outcomes and your individual patient outcomes are extremely important and critical. Last but not least, we're going to finish off with this. Engagement is not a strategy. Engagement is a strategy, not a marketing task. Engagement is the outcome of intentional design. So your engagement is always going to improve when those outcomes are clear, the patron and the staff understand the outcomes, they understand the solution. Digital tools are tied into those real life moments. What do I need to learn? What am I trying to accomplish? What's the outcome I want? And that confidence is going to replace any complexity that you have within your resource. So again, engagement isn't promoted, it's designed. Just as we move on here, we're just going to talk about some of the partnerships that we have at Learners Engaged. And I'm going to invite Diana Silvera. She's the president of Novaire Library Services. She's going to talk about micro-training for libraries. And just before I pass it over to her, Diana was kind enough, she had wrote the book, Library Technology Planning for Today and Tomorrow. And she sent me a copy over the holidays, and I sit on my local library board as a trustee, and I wish I had this book, 8 or 10 months ago, because it really gave me, a lot of insights as to what's actually taking place behind the scenes in a library when it comes to planning technology purchases, even when it comes to designing or reorganizing your library to accommodate new technology. And whether at our local library, we've been doing a master plan and planning where we want to go over the next few years. So this has been really insightful. And if you are a librarian and you're doing technology planning, certainly get your hands on this book. And even for your trustees, I would certainly highly recommend. So I'm going to pass the mic over to Diana.
Hi, everybody. Navarre Library Services is my company. I started it 15 years ago, and its primary focus is continuing education for libraries. The staff are all librarians or library adjacent people that have worked with libraries for over 10, 15, sometimes 20 years. When everybody was doing their introductions, did some math and realized I graduated library school almost 30 years ago now. So I worked in a public library, then a multi-type library consortium, and then brought out my own company. So our primary focus is staff development for libraries as a company. We do staff days, self-paced learning, face-to-face learning, and our newest venture is microlearning, which I'm really excited to talk about today. So why is staff training important? It's something we are always doing, but why are we doing it? First of all, it's building confidence. Our staff needs to have the skills. There's nothing worse than sitting in a reference desk when you're unsure of the answer, unsure of the technology, and unsure of your own skill level. So training brings that confidence to your staff and helps create a consistency of service. And with that, improves your service quality. The user experience is going to be better because the librarian or the staff member is going to be able to work with the person a little bit better and understand all of the resources to go in there, all of the databases that we've been talking about, all of the services that the library can offer. And with all of that, what you see is your staff becomes more adaptable. It grows. They see growth in their future because they see themselves growing in their current position, and that leads to staff retention in the long run. However, one of the biggest obstacles to training is, of course, time. Time is the hardest thing for us to get people together to do training. Time to have dedicated time without interruptions to learn is really a challenge in libraries today. We all have so many hats, we have so many interruptions. So, microlearning was what I heard from my clients and what I've seen from librarians of how we can help learning on being realistic about what it is. So what is microlearning? Microlearning is 5 to 7 minute learning. That's all it is. Each session is only 5 to 7 minutes. It's designed to teach one specific concept or one skill at a time. It's not trying to cram in an entire universe of knowledge into 5 minutes, but to have someone walk away with a little bit more information. It's what someone needs when they need it. It's not a whole in-depth training. It just gives them enough of a topic to grow a little bit of confidence with it. So why is it effective? Let's kind of delve in there. So first, our brains work better in small chunks. When you sit and you do a long, hour-long training, those are really great, or a full day training, our brains can hit information overload. We have all sat through trainings when we go, oh my gosh, my brain is going to explode. It's hit this point. So, and sometimes it's hard to focus in those. So these small chunks of information are stuff that people can actually take away with them when they need it and how they need it. It fits into our real workflows. Libraries are very unique places. We do not have a place where we can close our door and say, we're going to go train for the rest of the day, leave me alone. Users are going to be knocking on the door. Our coworkers are going to be working on the door. We have to maybe go staff the desk. We have meetings. We have lots of other tasks. Most staff members in a library are not just wearing one hat, but maybe several hats. So it fits into that workflow that we just don't have a lot of time. And it encourages action. It's just not information because it's such a short little thing. You're walking away with try one thing today, and that's doable. Years ago, I took Microsoft Access classes. I took them 3 times because I would be so overwhelmed by the time that I left that I did absolutely nothing with it when I left. I said, oh, I'm going to build that tomorrow. And then I went to the service desk and never had time to do it. So walking away with one little action is what helps it become effective. And it creates an environment of continuous learning. Microlearning one time a week for 5 minutes. Every week, someone is learning something new. You're kind of pushing that out to your staff. You're getting your staff involved, and it creates this environment of learning. What we've seen is because everybody's getting the content pushed out at them on the same day, that it starts to create dialogue within your staff members. Hey, did you take that microlearning? What did you think about this? it said to do this with AI, and I want, I tried it and this is what happened. So you start to see learning go past that even micro learning opportunity. So microlearning can benefit all staff. It's brain friendly, time friendly, task focused, and action oriented. Staff is going to walk away with some tangible benefits. So Focus, which is our microlearning product, just to talk a little bit about the actual product itself, it focuses on 5 specific areas of librarianship: personal growth, which is flourish; optimize, which is time management; connect, which is how working on the reference interview, working with co-workers a little bit better; uniting is talking about management, and not just management skills, but also leading from within. So those staff members that are not managers, but maybe they're joining teams for the first time, or they're working on projects, or maybe they're just a project lead, giving them the tools that they can use to succeed. And then skills. Skills are technology skills. They are databases. They are AI, Microsoft, Google, all of the tools that we are using every day at our service desk, so that your staff members can walk away a little more confident with using all of those. I did want to share an introduction to the reference interview microlearning that you can take later at your leisure after we finish up the today's session. One of the things that we really strive with this these lessons is that they're interactive. They're not, you'll notice they're not blogs, they're not videos, they're interactive. And that means that that 5 to 7 minutes that your staff member is working with it, they're actually focused on it. They can't be checking their email at the same time. They can't be answering phones or doing something else and letting it play in the background. They have to click through. There's games, there's reading, there's flip cards, there's quizzes. There's all sorts of ways to interact during the sessions to keep people engaged. And we try and mix it up so that it's not the same thing every week, but a little bit different, to keep everybody entertained as well as learning. And it has a growing library of content, so staff who do have time can go delve into some extra topics when they have time. So what I have found with microlearning, as I mentioned, I've been working with my company for 15 years, but I have been training for probably over 20 years, and I have had more feedback from staff on microlearning than any other platform that I've put together. I get emails from staff at all of our participating libraries at least once a week saying thank you. I've had directors reach out to me that to tell me that this is the first time that they're getting feedback from training from staff just unwarranted, that it's making a difference. So they really, even if they're refreshers or a new entry level skill, they're really giving staff members some tangible things that they can go along with. So I'm gonna just, if anyone has any questions about training, about microlearning, I love talking about microlearning. So I'm happy to answer any of them. And you can put them in the chat box, but I can go ahead and pass the meeting back to Mark so he can talk about some other great stuff that he has to offer.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Diana. And we will have some information up on our website, hopefully in the next week or so. And if you want to dig into the learning course that Diana's going to share, we will send that out as well, so you'll be able to get access to that. So just going to talk about a couple of the additional e-resources that we carry at Learners Engaged. So Pressreader is being one. For myself, having spent 15 years building and working on Pressreader for libraries, I still consider it my baby, even though it is no longer. But thing about Pressreader is that it is trusted daily content. There's more than 8,000 publications of newspapers and magazines covering 120 countries and 60 languages. And what's super unique about Pressreader is that there is absolutely no other platform that I've come across that has as many programming and outreach opportunities. The content can be suitable. There's content that's suitable for children, 3 years old, or if you're 103. There's covers literally every corner of your community. Again, 120 countries, 60 languages. Content is presented as a full digital replica, searchable, translatable, shareable. It's a personalized experience and mobile friendly. So if you ever wanted to look into that, would be happy to walk you through. They have The Economist exclusively. If you have a NewYorkTimes.com subscription, you can have the replica on your press reader subscription for free if you're in the US. And then it also just highlight just one other thing is that, press reader as a company, they host and they manage these publishers' online editions for them. So that just makes sure that the content is available before you can get it in print in any other market. Parent TV, excuse me, Parent TV. This is a Learners Engaged exclusive product. And so, for North America, Learners Engaged is the exclusive partner. We currently have more than 200 libraries in the US using Parent TV. And I love their their social media marketing and engagement. Ever had a job where you had no experience, no training, you weren't allowed to quit, and people's lives are at stake? Well, that's parenting. I have a 5 and a 9-year-old. The 9-year-old, he's an angel at this age. I'm shocked. I've heard that when they're really good kids, when they're young, watch out for them as teenagers. But also the reverse for the little one. The little one, he's a little shyster. Very much of a handful. And I can tell you firsthand that Parent TV is an extremely impactful e-resource for just a parent to get their wits and to understand, like, okay, what I'm doing isn't wrong, but there is different methods and different approaches to a challenge that you're having with your child. I love that the product, it focuses on families, the importance of families, the importance of relationships, and making sure that your children are seen. And so, the platform itself, it comes with more than 2,100 videos. The videos are short and sweet, so like 4 to 7 minutes long, really easy to digest, really easy to engage. They cover everything, behavior, emotional, mental health, families, really the whole spectrum of family and parenting. So even a new mother going through postpartum, maybe breastfeeding, you have a death in the family, co-parenting, children's anxiety, really covers everything. The experts come from the US, Canada, and Australia. And many of those experts, they have, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of followers on their social media. They're publishers, they're authors as well. So very much of a highly respected platform. And really, if you're involved in supporting families, Parent TV, I would highly recommend. What's extremely cool about Parent TV is that they've launched a documentary last year at the Illuminate Film Festival, and they won an award for as a director's award. But you get a community screening of Scene for your community, so that's a nice way to do an outreach, to also launch Parent TV. And the film itself is extremely impactful, and again, understanding maybe how you were parented and maybe some of that trauma you may have had, how that reflects onto children, but also how children are seen. I'm just going to show you a 2-minute preview to this.
I was saying all the right things. I'm doing what the book says to do, and it's still not working.
I left the older kids when they were just 2 and 4. It haunts me, because there's many years that I can't get back.
I was all about power and control, dominance. I yelled at my kids for the smallest things.
I wasn't reacting as bad as what I was brought up with, so I thought I was doing better.
To know yourself, you have to know where you come from. And to know where you come from, it means knowing your own parenting.
I just snapped at her more. I just spoke to her more rudely, because that's what happened to me. And that's what happened to my mum. And that's probably what happened to her mum's mum.
You cannot use logic to escape the programming of your own childhood.
As adults, we are juggling all the balls, and we find it really hard to attune to our children.
How do I make sure that parents understand I'm not being generous in saying, I need you to think about your own mental health. I actually need you to do it for this kid.
Your children have come to trigger you to heal.
We're always looking somewhere else for the problem, and I did that for 20 years. But this is where the real gold lies. We always talk about leaving your house as a legacy. I've scrapped all of that. I say you're leaving yourself in them as a legacy. And that is the most beautiful gift that keeps on giving forever.
Yeah, so we've had a lot of really great feedback with Parent TV, and of course with the feedback on the film. I can certainly say that it is a strong tool for community impact, mental health, and wellness, and for family support. The additional Learners Engage exclusive product that we have is called BEP, Business Expert Express. It really focuses its practical business knowledge for real world decisions. What it is, it's an ebook platform of 1,500 books, applied issue-based business content, all done from expert authors, business professionals, and faculty with real-world experience. And really their focus is to turn these complex concepts that we use in business into actionable strategies. So really well supported for entrepreneurs, small business owners. If you're looking for career, professional development, economic development in your community, I'd highly recommend it. I would also note that, in the US, there's more than 200 universities using Business Expert Press, and it's also a Harvard Business partner. So Harvard Business uses BEP, more than 100 BEP titles in their business cases, in their programs. Last but not least, for e-resources, we have Link. Eric from Link is here. He's going to just talk about Link for just a quick moment. And again, this is another exclusive e-resource through Learners Engaged. Go ahead, Eric.
Thanks, Mark. Let me just share my screen here with everyone. And it's great to meet everyone. Thanks. Really appreciate Mark, you giving me the time to discuss Link. Just a bit of a background about myself and the company. I joined Link 7 years ago. After living in Japan for a couple years. And I'm based in Vancouver. The company is also based here in Vancouver. We are mainly a B2C product. We've been in business for about 15 plus years, helping millions of users around the world. 2 years ago, I started looking into the library industry. I saw an opportunity. And I've been working with the libraries industry for the last 2 years, as I said, and I met Mark last year. I've attended a couple conferences, and since then we've managed to bring libraries on board in North America. And we're really excited to move into this new realm, as I say. And just wanted to quickly go over what Link is and how it works. All right, so Link has a really interesting backstory. It was actually co-founded by Steve Kaufman. Steve is a popular language learning YouTuber. He's now 80 years old. His son, Mark, is the other co-founder, a former professional hockey player who lived abroad. And both of them have always been interested in languages. Steve's videos have been viewed over 100 million times. And Steve himself speaks 20 languages. And his method is simple. Listening, reading to content in your target language that you enjoy. Now, Steve's language methodology is actually rooted in famous linguist Stephen Krashen's theory of comprehensible input, which essentially is by reading and listening to content that's mostly understandable but slightly challenging, your brain naturally absorbs vocabulary and grammar through context. So instead of grammar drills, vocabulary lists, reading real books, watching real TV, listening to podcasts, that is the first stage of language acquisition. input before output. Stephen Krashen has won numerous awards. He's recognized in the field of linguistics as one of the foremost thinkers, thought leaders, and actually is a friend of Steve Kaufman. There's an interview on YouTube that's really popular between the two of them, and they discuss the comprehensible input theory. So yeah, LINC puts that theory into practice by letting language learners focus on reading and listening to real-world content. Instead of drills, language learners engage with meaningful text and audio at their level. As their comprehension grows, learners move on to content they generally enjoy, whether that's in the LINC library or by using content that they find elsewhere, which they can import into the library and make their own language learning lessons. And this is just the home screen where patrons can sign in. And I will explain how LINC works in more detail. Now, this is the LINC library. What's great about the library is it's organized in almost like a Netflix format where there are different shelves, and in each shelf there are different lessons. Now, patrons can start with the guided course shelf for structured learning path, then explore other shelves to discover lessons that interest them. And there are actually 50 languages, over 50 languages to choose from. And we also offer several different interfaces. So if you're a Spanish native speaker learning English, you can change the interface into your native language. Now, what's great about LINC is it makes content easier to comprehend. So rather than trying to read a book or something online, when you have it inside the LINC platform, LINC has tools that make the content easier to go through while maintaining that effectiveness of acquiring the language. So there's highlighting, word tracking, text-to-speech, contextual translation. So when you want to look up words, you can look up a single word and it will give you the definition in the context that it's in. It also tracks your words, allowing you to review them whenever you wish, using spaced repetition systems, which are highly effective in terms of acquiring knowledge. So spaced repetition, a word you might know quite well, you might see it less frequently, but if a word you don't know quite well, you can review it more often, and LINC tracks that. And again, the main premise of LINC is you actually acquire naturally through lots of content, reading and listening to content that you enjoy. Now, when I say content you enjoy, what I mean by this is LINC's, I would say, main value proposition is that it allows the language learner to actually import content from the web into their LINC library, build their own language learning library. What's great about this is that means the amount of content a patron can learn from is essentially unlimited. So YouTube videos, blog posts, Netflix shows, song and audio lyrics, PDFs, things like that. You can actually import that into the LINC platform and create lessons. And this is just an example. This is a new article in Spanish. And on the far right, you can see that is the LINC design. That's the mobile version. But again, the article now is in a way that allows the language learner, the patron, to look up words, save their vocabulary, track their stats, listen to text-to-speech, and use a variety of functions to help them get through this piece of content. And again, LINC is available on mobile, which is great because that allows patrons, language learners to learn anytime, anywhere. Recently, a couple of researchers from the University of South Carolina, Queens College, ranked LINC highest in effectiveness. Practical terms, learners needed only about 12.6 hours of study on LINC to meet the requirements of a first semester of a Spanish college course. And again, I mentioned that we've been in business for 15 plus years, mainly in the B2C sector. And what's great is over the course of this time, we've really been able to use the best practice in terms of UX, UI design, updating our systems to really cater towards the serious language learner. And this is just an example of some of the reviews that we've received. So besides Steve Kaufman, the founder himself, here are some screenshots of LingQ users who have successfully self-studied a new language. At the top, you can see someone actually discusses their 10,000 hours of studying Chinese on LingQ. There's a couple of videos there of other users that created YouTube reviews. There's a Substack of someone who used LingQ to learn Danish. And then on the bottom right there actually is my statistics. So just a personal story of myself. So I mentioned I lived in Japan for a couple years, came back. I actually didn't speak any Japanese. I didn't learn any Japanese. And so when I joined LingQ, I was encouraged, to actually learn the language. I kind of felt a bit of regret. And I met Steve and I was like, oh, this guy speaks 20 languages. And I can't even speak two. So I kind of had a bit of motivation there. And so those are my statistics over the last 6 years in Japanese. 1.5 million words read, 250 hours of listening, 540 hours of speaking, 8,000 words of writing. And I can say, yeah, I'm pretty good now. I visit Japan yearly and have no trouble conversing with my friends that I made and things like that. So it's been, just a great experience. And I hope your patrons would get something similar out of this. I really believe in the product. We really believe in the product. And we're looking forward to working with everyone. And that's it.
Awesome. Thank you, Eric. We're just gonna wrap up here really quick. Just as we wrap up, we are launching out what we call EIG Connect. As I mentioned earlier, one of the pain points of having worked with, on the publisher side and also distributor side is making sure that content was equitable for libraries of every size. So, kind of the quick reality for some of the very small libraries in the country is that premium resources are often priced out of reach. Oftentimes they need to wait for a consortium agreement or a state program to be in place. And sometimes those local needs don't always align with what the consortium may pick up as a whole. And so it's really about making sure that this access is not determined by the fact that they're a tiny library, but we want to make sure that they get accessible pricing without reduced features. So it's not a light version of the products, it's full product access, but what is limited is the training and the onboarding goes into a shared program. It's practical, customizable marketing support, again, shared e-resources and tools for them. So that's the only limitations on those. But as far as products and service goes, full product and platform. And so with BEP, LingQ, Parent TV, we've been able to work with them. So those small libraries that are, serving 6,000 population less, they can get in, for around $333 on any of those e-resources. It's an annual subscription with flexible start dates, full access to those e-resources, equitable pricing, scaled for them, and ongoing onboarding and group training and support. So, this program of the EIG Connect is really to make sure that, regardless of the library, their size, and with their ability, we will find a way to collaborate and to find a model to support. To wrap up, I'd just like to say thank you so much to everybody who's taken time out of their busy schedules. I know it's the new year, everything's quite busy. We really appreciate it, and we look forward to collaborating with you. And if you are interested in learning anything more, welcome to go onto our website, schedule a meeting. My information can be found here. My name is Mark. We have Jeremy here and Robert. And if anybody has any questions or comments, we would love to take those for a couple minutes. There was just one from Araceli here that says, what were the average length of microlearning sessions? And Diana had noted that they're roughly 4 to 7 minutes, depending on the person. Thank you again so much for engaging with us, and we hope to connect again very soon.